Yo, what's up, guys? This is Technical Tim here, and I'm just gonna go over UFC Saint Petersburg, a quick recap. And I didn't really have any action on this card. I kind of stayed away. I wanted to stay disciplined and not just kind of give away units. So I didn't really have anything tracked. Untracked, I think I won like $100. I didn't really do much there either, but I do think my two preview videos were kind of on point, so hopefully that kind of helped people to stay away on betting Sarukian and who the fuck was the other guy? The guy who fought Joko, and Madoski. So yeah, hopefully those two help you guys to not go for the dogs there, because I didn't think they were worth it. But yeah, I'll just start from the bottom. Magomed Mustafayev and Fiziev. I think I had I had fractional units on 4 fights, so I didn't really have much. But I put a fractional unit on Fiziev, and it was kind of the fight kind of just ended quickly, and I think Fiziev just was trying to find his range, and he kind of tends to do that, and I think he kind of just got caught with a spinning head kick. I know it landed twice, but I don't know how repeatable. Spinning head kicks are low percentage strikes that land as a KO. But who knows? Mustafayev may have just kind of fucked him up if the fight kept going. But I tend to think that was kind of a random outcome, and if the fight played out, we don't really know exactly how it would go, but it could have still went that way. But who knows? Maybe Fiziev, once he gets his range down, would have been all right. But he seemed to was trying to gather his range and just kind of got caught before he could. Next fight, McCall and Tigulov. I saw a lot of people playing Tigulov heavy, and I did not agree with it. I had talked about it on my live. I was hoping to get McCall after round 1, and I thought about playing his TKO line, but it was minus money, and just shit. I don't always like playing a TKO line at minus money, especially I don't know. I just didn't see it as a huge opportunity, so I ended up staying away. But I didn't play the fight, but I don't know why people were playing Tigulov. If you were gonna play him round 1, because he's not gonna win the fight after that. He gasses too hard, and you saw he was exerting so much energy, and McCallion landed a couple nice shots. I'm not as high on McHale as other people yet. I do think he's good. I just don't think he's a title contender. I want to see a little more. I want to see him fight a more well put together fighter. I want to see him fight an Ozdemir or someone someone who can bring the fight to you for a few rounds. I'm not saying he's bad or anything. I'm just saying I'm not a believer that he's a title a champion, a future champion or anything. Tabora and Shamal. This is a fight, I stayed away here too. I kind of just saw it as probably going to be a kind of close heavyweight fight. Didn't really want to throw too much on it. I didn't play it, but I was thinking, I didn't see the line. I didn't even look at the KO line of Shamal. And I was thinking he had a chance at a KO, and I just because I just didn't put too much thought into this fight. But his KO line was plus 880, and I know it's really easy to say now, but if you think about it, my theory beforehand, I should have looked at it, because I wouldn't have thrown a big play on it, but I might have thrown $30 or $50 just to kind of fuck around at that 880 if I had seen it. But my theory was Tabora doesn't do well on the feet whenever he can't get his wrestling going. There's some fighters who have to have their wrestling going to be able to mix in their striking. And if they can't get their wrestling going and they're forced to just exchange in a sole combination type of fight, they don't do well. And Tabora's kind of like that. That was kind of my theory, and it ended up panning out. But I mean, it was just kind of a funny fight. But yeah, Shamal had faster hands. He just straight up had faster hands, and the wrestling kind of seemed like it was pretty nullified, which I expected. Shamal tends to gas, though, and not throw much later in the rounds, and that was the reason why I didn't want to play him. And Tabora, I didn't want to play him in a close fight in Russia, so I stayed away. I stayed away from almost every fight this card. Next fight, Yakupov and De Silva. A lot of people who I talked to were on Yakupov, and I kind of thought De Silva. I think the line is probably about right. I thought Yakupov could maybe out-wrestle him, but that wasn't really happening too much. He would get like an occasional takedown here and there. I thought his body lock TDs would work, but Silva seemed to improve in the wrestling, but his striking wasn't there as much as I thought it could be. And Yakupov, if anyone knows, comment below. That submission was really strange. It didn't even... I haven't re-looked at it, so, like, sorry if I'm mistaken. So, like, you know, I'm not going too on the record here. But I thought he was, like, going for, like, an anaconda or something. Because, like, the arm was in. And his... Yeah, it was really strange. And they were calling it a guillotine. I didn't really see it. So if anyone, like, knows exactly what happened, I just kind of saw it live. And I didn't watch the replay because I wasn't paying, like... too close attention, because I had to answer my doorbell whenever, kind of right after that finish. But it was kind of a weird finish. But I thought Silva, I think he took this fight on kind of short notice. Was he the one? But his cardio, it looked like he was kind of panicking from the wrestling a little bit, and he was giving up bad positions. And he kind of was on all fours in that front headlock position, and Yakupov took advantage of it. So I would say, like, Yakupov was probably value, but not much. I mean, he dropped the first round, and Silva was out-wrestling him a little bit, so fine with the stay away. Nakamura, Aliyev, this was my best stay away of the night. I had thought about playing Nakamura all week. I thought he was going to box him up on the feet. And Aliyev threw a little... He just doesn't throw enough, and I thought the grappling would kind of go how it did. I thought Aliyev would get some occasional takedowns, but Nakamura would mostly be able to fight it and go back to the feet. And I thought he'd be able to compensate that grappling with striking and land big shots. I even thought he could maybe hurt Aliyev, but I was just a little worried about the grappling in Russia. So I was like, and Nakamura tends to be a little low output, so I just stayed away from the fight in general. But Aliyev's striking, I think it outperformed his tape. It was a lot more accurate, and he looked a lot better on the feet. He was landing a super nice jab, and even kind of like buckled Nakamura a little bit, and then the grappling kind of started working a little more than I thought it would towards the later part of the fight. But I thought it was Aliyev looked good. I was pretty surprised. I'm glad I stayed away because I was leaning Nakamura in that fight. Next fight, Evloev and Choi. Fight pretty much went how I had suspected. I just didn't want to play Evloev as such a big favorite. I just don't like -300 to 400 favorites where his game is somewhat limited. And I thought Choi would be able to kind of nullify some... I thought he'd get taken down, but he also had a willingness to stay up against the cage when you're clinching him, and he was doing that a lot here, so I didn't want to play Choi as a dog. I thought playing Choi as a dog was kind of like a reach. But at the same time, I didn't want to lay chalk on a guy who's a debutant and didn't have like the deepest skill set. But yeah, so it is what it is. Next fight, Joko and Madoski. I previewed this fight. Literally, the underhook game I talked about played out exactly how I thought. Like, if you were watching that fight, it was kind of weird because, so Joko's a way better grappler, as I suspected. It was very clear on tape. I played Joko untracked. I got like a little bit on him. I also played fight doesn't go to decision, and Joko kind of... I don't know why he didn't pass more. Like he should have just taken mount. He could have finished that fight. And Madoski was a bit of a sitting duck in my opinion. But I do regret not playing Joko more because that was such a big grappling advantage, and I don't know why the KO scared me. The KO threat of Madoski scared me so much. Easy to say in hindsight. But just getting like a quick KO on your debut against Jotko, who is who's like a stratosphere above him when it comes to grappling. I probably should have played Jotko like super heavy, and a little bit of a regret there, but I had a really good read on the fight. Like I knew Madoski was not worth the play whenever there's that big of a wrestling disadvantage, and Joko, like that underhook game, like I talked about, if you guys remember, Joko got reversed at 1 second. He immediately got up with the underhook, like I had talked about. Madoski couldn't hold him down. And then Joko was fighting that underhook that Madoski kept doing. He was repummeling, he was posting off the head, and he was using post legs and post hands. Kind of just how I thought that. So I thought that was a good preview. So I hope that helped you guys not play Madoski, because he wasn't worth the play. And I saw like a few people like wanting to fade Jotko, but I didn't think the grappling edge was very apparent to me on tape. Even though there was only like a round and a half on Madoski, you can get a good read on grappling in just 7 to 8 minutes of footage, in my opinion. So I have a little bit of regret not going like heavy on Jotko there, because I thought he was going to dominate, but I went on him a little bit untracked. Shevchenko and Montefiore was the next fight. Another fight where I was debating on playing Montefiore all week. Didn't do it. Hit her live though. So I won some money on her live. I got her at like plus 250 live after the first takedown. And it was whenever she passed a mount that quickly, I figured that grappling was going to deplete the energy of Shevchenko even more, and then she'd have even more takedown and passing opportunities. That's usually how it goes. Whenever you get that first takedown on a non-grappler and you get to mount that easily in the first round, it's probably going to happen later in the fight, and it started doing it. Montefiore kept her takedowns up against the cage looked good, so I can't believe it was a split. I thought Montefiore won 2 or 3 rounds pretty clearly. Third round you could have given to Shevchenko, but I don't know how you give the second or third to her. So that's but that's the danger of the Russia bias on local events. But yeah, I thought about playing Roxanne pre-fight, but I just didn't do it. It is what it is. But at least I cashed on her live at almost like the same line. So not too bad. The Clark fight didn't happen. Pavlovich, Gom, I had no action on this fight. Tracked. I think untracked, I took a shot at Gom's KO line, but peanuts. I thought it was kind of a random finish. Pavlovich actually doesn't, sometimes he'll kind of let the fight play out and not really attack and cut off the cage that much, but he went for it. Gom landed a couple good shots early, so it was kind of a quick result, not much to read. Islam and Arman, that was a fucking fight right there, dude. I love, that might not be all that exciting for some people, a full wrestling match like that, but coming from a wrestling background, and I was so excited for that fight, and I previewed this fight, and I think a lot of what I had talked about kind of played out here a little bit. Some things more than others, but I'll kind of get to that. That was those guys were really working, but I want to make a couple points here on this fight. I love this fight. I thought Islam's line was justified. I think a lot of people are saying that there's value on Sarukian after the result. I disagree. Whenever there's a wrestling match, and that was pretty much a pure wrestling match, there was a few strikes thrown here and there, but 2 guys who like to wrestle, it's going to turn into a wrestling match. And I saw people saying Sarukian was value, and I had said before the fight, don't play him. And I stand by that he wasn't value. I'd favor Islam to win this about 7 or 8 times out of 10. And the reason why is whenever you have a wrestling match, even though it might look kind of competitive, but it was clear that Sarukian, other than clasping hands whenever he was behind him, couldn't hold him down. And I didn't think he'd really be able to. Like I said, Makhachev's less vulnerable off his back. And so he's just not going to get much offense going. He could stop some of the takedowns and kind of hold his own in the clinch. but he's just, like he's not going to have a lot of offense. Like he can maybe negate some of Islam's offense, but he's just not going to have enough offense. And in a wrestling match, the deviation of results aren't that big. Like if that was scored under wrestling rules, Islam won like what we would probably call, it depends if you're judging in folk style, freestyle, and these guys, it was an MMA fight, so they weren't going for specific points. But like Islam pretty much dominated under folk style and freestyle rules if you were like going that way. He had a lot more takedowns, a lot more top control. He would put him on his back a lot. And Arman kept shooting a sweep single, and I think on the right side, and Islam was ready for it every single time. He would get his leg back, and then he would start posting on his head and flatten out, so he would be able to kind of, the grip that Arman had would just start breaking because he would be getting his head posted down, and so all of a sudden the leg would get free. And Islam was ready for that takedown every time. And on the cage, Arman positionally like held his own, but Islam obviously was a little stronger in the clinch. And Arman, like I had said, and Islam also kind of had a little bit of a grappling edge when it comes to grappling cardio as well, and you could tell it was starting to wear on Arman, and I had kind of noticed that in tape. So even though there were moments of competitiveness, if they wrestle like 50 rounds, I just feel like Islam will win like 75 to 80%. And like it's not like he's blowing him out of the water or can like finish him very easily, but he's just a little bit ahead of the position. So it's almost like if it was it'd be like comparable to a striking match where a guy, like it's competitive, but a guy's landing just a little more, if that makes sense. But that was an awesome fight. And Islam, I love Islam's game, and his takedown defense is incredible. And he's really tough to hold down. I think this also goes to show a lot of people were shaming Islam for his Chris Wade fight, but I think Chris Wade's a really good grappler. He fought in PFL against a guy named Natan Schultz at the New Year's Eve card and lost in PFL. Wasn't the New Year's Eve card, it was earlier than that. But Natan Schultz, a good pressure grappler, and Chris Wade was kind of like matching him. Grappling exchange for grappling exchange. So I think people didn't realize how good Chris Wade was there. And Islam's a legit grappler. I'm not saying he's Khabib, but I am saying he's very good. And I love that little kind of judo sweep that he does, that trip whenever they have over-unders in open space and he'll like trip them one way. So, but yeah, I don't think Sarukian was value, even at plus 260. I disagree with anyone who thinks he was value after seeing that fight. It was pretty clear that Islam probably won all 3 rounds. And even though it looks competitive, he's just positionally just a bit outmatched and can't get enough offense going. Overeem and Olenek, that was, I think untracked, I played a little bit on some unders, so that hit, but like not too much. I didn't play anything tracked here. I barely played anything tracked, just so you all know. But if you did buy my picks this week, because I didn't really have many picks, message me on Twitter, and I'll give you all my picks for free for next event. Just because I didn't really have much. But Reem and Olenek, that's kind of how I expected. I thought Olenek would force the issue, and Overeem would be able to disengage from any Ezekiel attempts. And I thought the knees would be there in the clinch when Olenek would go for the Ezekiel. And it was just kind of a matter if Reem just knocks him out before he gets tired or if he doesn't get clipped. I thought that was kind of how it would play out. So I thought the line was probably about accurate. Olenek had some success, but he also kind of got battered in the clinch with some knees. So fun event. I'd really appreciate if you guys gave a thumbs up to the video, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'll have a lot of preview videos for the next card, and if you want any specific previews, just comment below. Thank you. Bye.